for securing this debate, and also offer my honourable friend, the Minister, congratulations and welcome her to the dispatch box. It may get easier. I began my working career, my Lords, as a youth worker, and of my own children and a new precious granddaughter, I've helped build schools, and I believe passionately that every child, wherever they may be in the world, deserves the best that they can get. And I guess it was in that spirit I was more than happy to try to help my noble friend Lord Cope in the matter on the Palestine Youth Orchestra, which I totally supported. As I will explain, though, a little later, we here can do much to alleviate suffering, and I'm confident that the excellent new Secretary of State for DFID, Priti Patel, will seize the opportunity to target our aid carefully to help those children who suffer. However, my Lords, let me be very clear. We must not continue to profess Israel's sole responsibility in the health and the well-being of Palestinian children. In doing so, we continue to prolong the conflict by condemning the Palestinians themselves to perpetual helplessness. The suffering of Palestinian children is a tragic consequence of the extremist ideology that has been allowed to flourish in the Palestinian territories, and we must recognise this in order to better the conditions in which they live. The terror group Hamas, which calls for the destruction of the Jewish state in its founding charter, must take prime responsibility for the ongoing suffering of Gazan children. My Lords, as Lord Palmer said, under the rule of Hamas, at least 160 Palestinians have been killed while digging Hamas terror tunnels into Israel, including, according to the Journal of Palestine Studies, 9 children. And those peers in this House who follow social media will see the latest Hamas video of excited children being taken on tunnel tours. I saw it this morning. I ask you, my Lords, no incitement? Everyone is clear that the sole purpose of Hamas's tunnels into Israel is to kill Israeli civilians. My Lords, do they really hate Israelis more than they care about the well-being of their own children? Instead of building houses, schools and hospitals, Hamas has built a sophisticated infrastructure of terror. And we should remember that in 2014 war, Hamas put Palestinian children in danger. In many cases, rockets were launched that by Hamas fell short of their intended target, which was Israeli kindergartens, and instead landed in Gaza, killing Palestinian children. And from firing rockets near hospitals to storing rockets in schools, Palestinian children were used as human shields throughout the conflict, defined as targets by the very people who should have protected them. My Lords, I wish there were no rockets. I wish there were no tunnels. And as a result, I know there would be no retaliation. And in the West Bank, it is the Palestinian Authority that must stop polluting the minds of the youngsters through its campaign of radicalisation. Any leadership that encourages children to take a knife and kill another child purely because of their religion or race would be deemed despicable. Why is it viewed differently in the Palestinian territories, where the glorification of terror continues unabated? And to dismiss this, my Lords, to dismiss this incitement as irrelevant is quite shameful. Worrying reports have emerged, actually, about some of the NGOs we in the UK support in the Palestinian territories, with a number promoting violence on their social media pages despite carrying out laudable activities in development and healthcare. One example, Ibda'a Cultural Centre receives £5,062 from the UK government. Now, Ibda's Cultural Centre repeatedly glorifies Palestinian terrorists who have killed Israelis on its Facebook page, hosting events in their honour, inviting their families as special guests. A killer in the recent wave of violence, Mohammed Halabi, a terrorist who stabbed 2 Israelis to death and wounded 2, including a 2-year-old boy, was recently described as a martyr. His family were invited as honoured guests to an event hosted by UK-funded NGO. And this is the kind of rhetoric that Palestinian children are being subjected to. A community organisation that provides social, education and health programmes for Palestinian children consistently is spreading the message that if you kill an Israeli, you'll be rewarded and you will be martyred. My lords, this brainwashing of Palestinian children to hatred and violence is a form of child abuse. The Palestinians must be condemned for denying their own children a better future. Now, my lords, surely UK aid to such NGOs, which in the vast majority of cases undoubtedly carry out good and important work, must be made conditional on the renouncement of all violence and incitement. In addition, DFID should monitor far more closely the social media presence and activism of NGOs funded by our taxpayers' money and immediately address any concerning material found so we can safely reassure the public here in Britain is being a help to the Middle East peace process and not a hindrance. The only way future generations of Palestinian children will enjoy good health and well-being is for Palestinians and Israelis to recognise each other's right to live in safe and secure borders. Yet, less than 13% of DFID's £1.17 million funding of Israeli and Palestinian NGOs goes towards projects that actually promote and foster peaceful coexistence. This amount is a mere 0.2% of the £72 million that we give in total, including our general budgetary support for the PA, despite sometimes its continued misuse. Yet our aid strategy has been flawed by its lack of support of projects bringing Israelis and Palestinians together. My lords, in fact, why not help bring Palestinians and Israelis together, whilst also saving lives? And I refer to the charity that Lord Palmer talked of Save a Child's Heart. I've been there numerous times, and I've seen, my lords, that Save a Child's Heart, this Israeli NGO, which brings Palestinian children every Tuesday morning from Gaza and other desperately ill children from Africa, and they have life-saving heart surgery in Cholon, just outside Tel Aviv. I say I've seen it firsthand. For over 15 years, cooperative efforts have existed between this Save a Child's Heart's medical staff in Israel and the parents of sick children in Gaza. And let us support other projects like the Equaliser project, and there are so many. And I hope that the Minister will be able to look at these and to look to the future and support coexistence projects that will bring the long-term stability to the region, as well as increasing the quality of life of children involved. And in conclusion, my lords, can I ask the Minister if she'll be able to update the House on the progress of DFID's search for projects bringing together Palestinians and Israelis, and will she agree with me that the institutionalised radicalisation of the Palestinian territories sustains the conflict and thus the suffering of Palestinian children? This suffering is, as I stated earlier, a tragic consequence of extremist ideology that has been allowed to flourish, and we must recognise this and we must defeat it. And, my lords, if we do, the lives of so many children in the area will be improved enormously.